The remote, we can go to awning. And push the button and it'll go out with the remote. So awning's out all the way. Now we can go to select and go to the option on the remote, which will run the awning on the slide out. Because the unit has two awnings, but they're separate switches. That one will also go out all the way. And we'll bring in the other awning, go back to the awning mode. As I was saying earlier in the video, as the awning's coming in, we can control the stabilizer jacks, we can run the slide outs, everything from this remote, and turn on the lights. We can turn on the awning light there right now by pushing the light, which is up in the strip. And we can run the stabilizer jacks, which is down the bottom. Simply change the mode, put it in select, and then that'll put us to the stabilizers, up or down. And then the power for the unit is push button, hold it. And there's a holder on the wall just inside the trailer for it. Okay, so now we'll move inside the trailer. So first thing we'll do, we're at the monitor panel, we'll open up the slides. Basically what you want to make sure, it's hard to get through the trailer, but make sure nothing shifted while you're driving, fell off the shelf or anything to get in the way of the slides when they're coming out. Hit the right button there, sorry, slide out. So what I normally will do is run the slide out part way and until I can access through to make sure nothing shifted in transport. Alright, I can get through there now. I'm going to stop. And what I want to make sure is nothing fell. Don't step on the slide out floor when you're walking through. Just enough room to sneak through. Nothing open. This trailer has a cupboard here where if this opened when you're driving, there's a potential of it getting damaged behind the slide out. So you want to make sure everything stayed closed and nothing fell. Same thing on this wall here. Make sure these cupboards are shut and that nothing popped out and is on the floor. And we'll go back to opening up the slides. When the slide makes that rattle noise, that is out all the way. The other slide button is on the other switch here. This trailer has 3 slides. There's another slide at the back bedroom, which there's a button in another location, which I'll show you right away. Okay, for the rear bedroom, same thing, the slide out switch is on the wall. Same thing, just kind of peek in. This is as far as we can go again. Nothing, everything looks okay. I'm gonna push that button. And same thing, once you get it open enough where I can get in, I'll double check and make sure nothing fell out of the cupboards to get in behind the slide, because stuff like that will damage your floors when you open up the slide out and damage moldings. Alright, trailer is open. While we're coming in the door, we'll start here and we'll work our way around the trailer. When you come in the door, important feature, fire extinguisher there. Hopefully you never have to use it, but it's right inside the door for you. light switches. So there's lights here which will turn the lights up above your slide out on the one side, and it's your slide out switch for the other. The other light switch down here on the bottom is the blue accent lighting that's outside on the frame. You see it turn it off and on there. That's the switch there. On the monitor panel, there's lights for your island, and then this is the outside light on the wall on the outside of the trailer. Okay. So while we're on the monitor panel, on the top of the monitor panel, you have your monitor panel. Tells you your status of the unit. So you have battery. You push the battery button up here on the 4 dots there. They'll light up, telling you what kind of status your battery is. This one's showing it's fully charged. So as it weakens down, if you were dry camping, the lights will be less. It'll look like that when it's dead. Fresh tank is empty. Your black tank, which is your toilet, is empty. Gray tank, which is your shower, sink water. And then your galley tank, which on this trailer is the outside kitchen. All empty right now. As those fill, they will, same thing, they'll look like your battery. Try not to dump your black tank until you have a sufficient amount of water in it. And also use chemical, as the chemical will help break down the solids in the tank for odor, and also a lot of times toilet paper, things like that, will affect the monitor panel accuracy. If you're dry camping and using your water tank on the trailer for fresh water, you need to use the water pump, which is that switch right there, and that will activate your pump. The water heater, this is the propane, to turn on for propane for the hot water tank. So what you're going to do is turn the switch on. Up here there's a fault light where it says DSI. It's direct spark ignition for the hot water tank. If the hot water tank doesn't light, that light will stay on. We'll hear in a few seconds that it'll try and light. The tank just lit, so the DSI, the fault light, is now out. So I'm going to just shut that off. That's that. We'll move on. Down here on the floor, or by the floor, is your power converter. So this is your power converter, which converts your 120 volt into 12 volt. Basically your breaker panel, same as in your house. Up in the top here is at the door. It also has a little glass, sight glass there. What the sight glass is for, on the right side of your converter is all your fuses. On the right side of the fuse, there's LED lights. So if should a fuse blow, the light will illuminate and you'll see the red glow through the sight glass. Say the lights aren't working in your slide out. You're going to come here, try and see lights. Okay, if you don't see an LED light, pull out the fuse anyway and manually check it to see if it's burnt. Usually you'll see it by a little burnt spot in it. Breakers for the 120 side, same thing as in your house. If you overload a circuit, your breaker's going to pop. When the breaker pops, just simply come back, reset it again. If the breaker continuously pops, you're drawing too much voltage from that, or amperage from that circuit. There's also a fan in here, so don't block this area when you're using the trailer, because as there's more demand, it's hot, it has to cool. While we're down here, again, propane carbon monoxide alarm. It's got an alarm, say someone should bump a valve on the stove, on the burners where you're not using it. Propane's heavier than air, so it'll come down to the low point. This alarm will chime. It'll make a loud noise. There's a mute button on it. Turn off your propane and get out of the trailer. Make sure you don't have a leak before you turn anything on. Again, we went through the remote, so that's the mount for it. Up above us here was the antenna for your TV. So there's an arrow on this pointing forward for transport. To rotate it to dial in your picture, just simply push the button in and then rotate it, and that will help out getting your picture quality a little bit better. There's usually about 4 to 5 digital channels that you can pick up. And we'll continue going around here. So dinette, you've got your light up top there. Your dinette turns into a bed also. To just give the table a little shake. Pull the legs out of the bases on the floor. Down. The cushions on the couch, or on the dinette here. Just push those aside. Same thing everything there, and then just lay out your cushions to make your bed. For transport, you can have it down or up, whichever you prefer. In a blue pouch here, this is all your important information, manuals, things like that, reading material. The chairs, they are strapped down for transport. Once you get the park to where you're going, you can unstrap them. These are recliners. Just make sure you're away from the wall enough so that you don't hit the window and tear the back of the chairs. I'll continue back into the back. The bedroom here, there's a light switch on the wall behind the door. You've got your ladder for your bunk beds to get up to the top. The windows in the bunk is an emergency exit window. You can still use it as a regular window. I will show you on the other side where I can reach it. This one here, so you can push it out. You can use that as a regular window. If you find that when you're coming into the trailer and this is happening, just lock it up. Eventually what happens, if there's a crosswind through, this will go out, come back, and once this goes out of the hole, this will come back and pierce the side of your sheet metal. If you did have to use this as an exit, you'll pull the little tab, pull the screen out, jump out the window. Also, more lights. Your bunk can fold up. There's a hole in the side here where you can go, and then that will give you access for your couch. The couch turns into a bed also. I'm sure your salesman showed you how this is done. Pull that part out. It's a tri-fold bed. And then that folds down. There's your spare bed for when guests don't want to leave. We'll fold it back up. Yep. Okay, again, we're going to go back out here to the kitchen area. So you have your stereo, the radio. You can pair Bluetooth, everything through it. Also through the outside speakers, you have your zones and everything. Our reception isn't very good in the building right now. Down here is your fireplace heater. Oh, forgot. Up on the board here, because it's only a 30 amp trailer, you have to decide if you want microwave or the fireplace. So we'll flip that switch to fireplace. It'll work better when the switch is turned on for it. Again, it's a heater, which you have the different modes for, where you can set your temperatures where you want. Also your lights, you can play with everything there. Again, back up onto the kitchen counter, we want to use a microwave. We're going to flip back to the microwave. Inside the microwave, you've got the glass tray. Just make sure after you're bouncing down a road, sometimes it's a good idea to throw the glass tray, just wrap it into a tea towel so it's not bouncing around. And when you get to where you go, just line the tray up with it so it'll turn for you. Rotate. Your range hood, you have a light in there, and your fan, again, outside on the range hood vent, you have to unlatch the travel flap so that it'll exhaust outside. The stove top, it does have an igniter. We'll try quick. Okay, it lit right away. Sometimes you may have to use a lighter to light the burners the first time if you haven't used anything yet. There's your burners. The grate pops out of the top of the grill if you have to clean. Also, you can push back your whole stove top to clean underneath to get rid of crumbs and things at the end of your season. Your oven. Inside the oven, there is a pilot light you have to light. So on the valve, you're going to push to pilot on. You have to depress that valve while you're holding the lighter. Down in the bottom here, if you can see past my hand, there's a thermocouple we have to heat up. Once you get it heated up enough with the lighter, you'll see a blue flame there, which is your pilot light. Once you get the pilot light lit, just keep this depressed for about 5 to 10 seconds. You can release it. If the light stays on in your oven, you're good to go and start baking cookies. Turn it to wherever you want, and the burner will light up like that. Again, you don't have to leave it in the pilot mode except when you're using it when you're going to start baking or heating anything else. Your fridge, it's Dometic. It's a two-way fridge. Basically, it's very easy to use. You have your on-off button. So basically, we're in auto right now. The auto feature is whatever feature we're in. We're plugged in right now, so it's going to go to the electric mode. Should the power go out while we're camping and we're in auto and our propane is open, the fridge is going to automatically change over to run on propane. If you see the check light there, that means there's an issue with the fridge which you need service. It also works as a check light for the gas mode. So we're going to turn it over to gas right now. Push that button there. Now it's going to be on propane. Should it not light on propane, that check light will illuminate. If it does, simply turn the fridge off, turn the fridge back on, and then it will try and relight again. With the gas mode, there are no lights on the top of on the eyebrow board for you. You will know your fridge is on because the light is on inside the fridge. On the first fin back here on the right side of the fridge is a thermistor, the white fin. That slides up and down on there to adjust your temperature. The further to the top is colder. And there, we'll go back to auto and turn the fridge off. You have a freezer. Okay. Okay, now we're going to touch on your thermostat. So this is for your furnace air conditioning. So once you push the mode button, it will activate the panel. Push it a second time, we'll turn it on to whichever mode you're going to be in. So right now, when you turn it on, it goes to the fan mode. So this is where we're going to decide if we want the fan to run, which the fan is in the air conditioner unit, if we want it to run all the time or not. Basically, to change the fan mode, once it's there, push there, it'll go to high or low. So that's being that the fan is going to run all the time on low speed. Now it's a warm day out, we want the air conditioner on, we'll push the mode button. So we know the fan's going to run all the time, then we can set our temperature to where we want it. And that means the air conditioner will cut in at 65 degrees. The fan's going to always run, but the compressor will kick in at that temperature. So that's to use it for air conditioning. Again, you don't need to have the fan running all the time. You can put it in the auto mode and the whole system will turn on or off as it needs on the auto. We'll just wait for the air conditioner to shut off, and we'll go to the furnace. Okay, so come back, it's a cold night, we want the furnace on, so we'll leave this in auto because we don't want the air conditioner unit turning, just because it'll blow colder air around. So we're going to go right down to the heater, the furnace mode, where it shows you, and same thing, we adjust our temperature to where we would like it. This being a ducted trailer, the floor vents for the furnace, try not to cover them up when you're using the furnace with carpets or anything, as it needs the airflow to go through, otherwise the furnace will heat up and shut itself off. Once the furnace gets set to the temperature that you want and it's reached it, the burner will shut off and the fan in the furnace will run approximately a minute just to cool down the exchanger in it, so it's not too hot. We'll turn that off after it is lit there. The bathroom, light switch is in there. Up in the ceiling, there's a roof vent. And then up in the corner of the roof vent is a switch for the fan. Over on the wall is your ground fault reset plug, which is the main one, so all the plugs throughout the trailer are resettable by this plug itself, same as your bathroom plug is at home. In the vanity, they've given you a sample chemical for the toilet, hot and cold for your sink. The toilet is a foot flush, so you'll have foot over here, you'll have part way for water, all the way for the flush. Always use chemical and use RV toilet paper. The shower, transport lock here for the doors, so you'll unhook the rubber holder and then you've got your doors. Hot and cold shower on the wand there, obviously. Pretty straightforward on the shower.
Not going to demonstrate for us, Jay?
No, I'm not today. Front bedroom. So there. It's got laundry storage, which again, your salesman should have showed you this. Bed is on prop rods. Gas props again.
Nice double kick underneath.
Storage access there. As we're going to go into before for winterizing your trailer, on the back of the hot water tank, I've left the access panel down just to make this quicker. There's a valve on the top where the red hose is there, which is your hot out of the tank. On the bottom, there's another valve on the bottom on the blue, which is your cold in. Right now it's in summer mode. So in the fall, you're going to reverse those valves so that the antifreeze, because you don't want to put antifreeze in your hot water tank, it'll come through that white line and back down through your system, bypassing the hot water tank. Once you get to in the spring, which the trailer's already summarized for you now, in the springtime you'll run water through your system, flushing the antifreeze out of the system. Once it is clear, then you can come in here, open up those valves, fill your hot water tank, and you're ready to get hot water. I'll show you where your water pump is, because that's where you pump your antifreeze through. Out to the kitchen, and again I've left the access open for it just to make it quicker for our video. Down in here is the pump on this side of the pump here. Oh, I need a light. We can get a still shot for that later. Anyway, down here on the pump is where you'll hook up to the water pump in this cupboard in the kitchen. And with a line, you need a fitting to go onto your pump with a probably about a 3-foot chunk of hose to put into your antifreeze jug to run antifreeze through. When you do that, you'll run your water pump, go through hot and cold on all your taps, all your faucets, do the hot and the cold for it. Also on the sink here, we never talked about, it's got the valve here where you can change your aerator to either have a stream or like a jet, wash it. But anyway, you have to run antifreeze through everything hot and cold. On the reverse of the back side of the trailer there is the one-way valve in the city water line, which we'll show you quick right now on the outside. So you pull this screen out, and if you're by yourself, you can put the screen in backwards. Turn the water pump on, and that'll allow the antifreeze to come out, or if you have a helper, they can push this line in and that will allow the antifreeze to come back out that line. Again, you don't want to open this under pressure because you will, there's O-rings inside on that one-way valve which you'll damage and have to replace the city water hookup. But that is the last step to do for your winterizing, and obviously drain your hot water tank, drain all your tanks. And now we'll go in and close the trailer out. I'm going to start at the rear bedroom of the trailer. For transport, put this bunk down. It's a lot of weight bouncing around driving down our roads. We're going to make sure all our lights are out. Make sure the floor is clean, that there's no stones that work their way in. As when the slide out comes across the floor, if there's stones on here, it will cut into your floor. Turn the light out. Again, this room here is a major damage issue for the door. Make sure the door is latched before you run the slide in. You can hold the door like this just to make sure everything's coming in good when you're pushing the button to run the slide in. But you don't want to have the door like this because you will rip the door off its hinges. And again, once the slide's in all the way, it will make the ratcheting noise that we heard before when they were going out. Another thing to keep an eye on when you're bringing your slides out or in, especially the floor has to be clean in the trailer, but also if you're under a lot of trees or big trees at your campsite, make sure the roof of the slide outs don't have branches and leaves on them. Same thing when it comes in, the wipers on the top of the slide outs will tear your rubber membrane on the top of the slide outs also.
Those are walk-on slides.
Again, come back here to our switches. And generally just run one slide at a time. There is a lot of draw on the system when you're running them. Again, we're going to turn out all our lights. And our weekend camping is done. We will put our steps back up. Latched. Door, and then we will get our stabilizers, everything back up, and that's our enjoyable weekend of camping. I hope you enjoy your trailer. Any questions, please call us. This is different for us doing these videos right now. If we've missed something or if you don't understand it, I'd be more than happy to help you out. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.